Hola, everybody. Thank you for joining us on the first episode of this channel. I can't think about a better person to start this journey with than today's guest. At age 8, he spoke in front of 3,000 people without any preparation or advice. And by the time he was 14, his dad wanted him to take over his ministry. Knowing deeply inside that his calling was different, he started his self discovery journey. And in the process, he realized that he was the one who was responsible of creating the life he desired for himself. A best-selling author, widely considered to be the next generation leader in the field of personal development, has been featured in Larry King Now, and today we have the opportunity to talk about his new book, The Magic of Surrender. So please, help me welcoming the inspiring speaker, Kute Blackson.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Thank you for saying yes to this conversation. I would like to start talking about the stories we tell ourselves. You mentioned how important it is to be aware of the stories we tell ourselves. Why is it important to be aware of these stories, and how can we develop a better awareness?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, if we're not aware of the stories we tell ourselves, and then we're living unconsciously. If we're living unconsciously, then we're going to be run by programs and stories and untruths that we're not even aware of, that's been really conditioned to us from childhood. Look, from the moment we're born, as children, we're born free. If you look at a child is free, a child is alive, a child is in touch with their essence. A child will jump on a table and sing and dance. It doesn't care if it can't sing like Celine Dion or Bruno Mars. A child will run naked. It doesn't care. It's like, oh, look at me, I'm fat. A child is free. A child will run up to a stranger and just love them and hug them. It really doesn't matter. As children, we're not telling ourselves all sorts of stories. I'm too fat, I'm too short, I'm too skinny, I'm not intelligent, I'm not enough, I'm not lovable. A child isn't really telling themselves these stories when they're really young. See, as children, we're born free. We're in touch with our essence. We're in touch with our divinity. We're in touch with our light. A child is born into this human experience. And then what starts happening in terms of the creation of these stories is we're born into a human experience. We're born into a framework. We meet our parents. Our parents are just doing the best that they can do based on their childhood, based on their upbringing, based on their parents, based on their generation. So we're born into a certain pre-existing story, a certain pre-existing condition. And as a result, maybe there was some dysfunction. Maybe there was maybe our dad wasn't around, our mom was an alcoholic, there was mental illness, there was abuse, physical, mental, emotional, sexual. Maybe they got divorced, maybe they were fighting. And so as children, two things happen that start to manufacture and create the stories that we make up about ourselves. The first thing is we first learn to shut down, disconnect, and not feel as a way to cope with our environment. Maybe it was too painful hearing our parents scream. Maybe it was too painful that mom and dad weren't there. They didn't shop for us. They didn't meet our needs. And so as a result of the pain and the hurt that we feel as children, we start to shut down, disconnect, and suppress the pain to cope. It's a survival mechanism. The thing is, as we start suppressing our feelings and emotions over time, layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of unmet feeling, unmet emotion just gets stored in our nervous systems, gets stored in our body, we erect walls around our heart. So it blocks our capacity to feel and who we really are, our true feeling, our true essence, our true identity gets hidden underneath the layers of unprocessed, unfelt emotion, feeling, and stories. Then we move into the world in the sense of, maybe we were loud and funny and outgoing, and dad or mom says, shut up, be quiet, or, girls should be seen and not heard, or boys don't cry. These are stories that we're told that are passed down from us, passed down from generations. And so unconsciously, we started to learn, oh, if I want love from dad, or if I want love from mom, this is who I need to be. This is who I need to be in order to get love, in order to be accepted, in order to fit in order to be validated. And so we began to create this story inside of our minds of this is who I need to be. Ultimately, the biggest story, one of the most painful, impactful stories that we've learned to tell ourselves, often unconsciously, is who I am inherently is not enough. I am not enough. I am not lovable just being who I am, because, we started to learn, oh, when I'm a certain way, I don't get love from mom. When I'm a certain way, I do get love from mom. Oh, when I'm a certain way, I get love from dad. When I'm myself, I don't get love. So we start to learn the sense of hiding who we authentically are, hiding our, start to contort ourselves into a kind of shape in order to fit in, to get love, to be approved. So the biggest lie is, on some level, we were loved, shall we say, conditionally to a degree. But the illusion is I'm not enough who I am. I'm not lovable just as I am. The story, the fear is, if you know, and I think to a degree, many human beings carry this. If this fear and the story, if you know who I really am, if you really know who I am, then you won't love me. And so we've been conditioned to hide our true essence. We've been conditioned to hide our true light, and we contort ourselves into a shape. We develop all sorts of roles and masks and personas, and we kind of develop a way of being to get love, validation, and approval that blocks our ability to be free, blocks our ability to love fully, blocks our ability to be authentic, to be powerful. And so before you know it, we've learned to avoid pain and get love. And then we kind of contort ourselves into the shape. And then we go through life as this person that we think we are, which is really a conditioned story, a conditioned version of what we are, not necessarily who we really are. And so we make up all sorts of stories in our mind. Maybe, let's say, mom left, we made up a story. Oh, she left, that means I'm not lovable. And we don't really question the story. Now we go through our entire life thinking, I'm not lovable, I'm not lovable, I'm not lovable. Man leaves, mom leaves, woman leaves. That means because I'm not lovable. We weren't conscious as children that an event happened. Yes, it did happen. For instance, mom left, something happened. But what we start doing is we start to make an interpretation about what that event means, not that it necessarily means that mom left means I'm not enough. Well, so we have to start questioning. We have to start really questioning, is this story that I believe myself to be, is this story that I'm telling, is it real? Is it reality? Is it fact? Because if we don't question ourselves and we live as though that story, which is often a made up interpretation that we made up in a particular moment unconsciously to make sense and meaning of the world, which is not necessarily the real meaning that it is, it's just an interpretation that we made, it's a story. So you start realizing if it's a story that you made up, then you can unmake it. But if you're not aware that it's a story, then you think it's reality, then you don't question. And so we're constantly making stories in our minds. And so we have to learn to question. Here's how we can question. Is it true? Is it real? Is it fact? People will tell me, Paloma, sometimes, I'm stupid, I'm an idiot, I'm ugly. Is it fact? It's not necessarily fact. It's just an interpretation based on an event. So is it fact? Fact is I'm a man. Fact is you're a woman. Fact is I'm in Los Angeles, right? This is fact. I'm stupid, I'm unlovable is not fact. In fact, when I ask people to tell me, when they say, for instance, a story, I'm unlovable, I ask them, show me unlovable. Can you show me unlovable? Like you can show me this phone, right? You can show me this water bottle, this table, but show me unlovable. It's a story. So you realize if it's a story you made up, you can also unmake it. But you have to be conscious that it's a story, and you have to start questioning that it's a story. And when you start, and as human beings, we're made up of a collection of stories. When we attach ourselves to those stories for a sense of identity, this is ego. So the more we are able to question, and sometimes part of why it's so scary to question the stories is we think who we are those stories. So to question and let go of those stories can be very scary, because the question becomes then, who would I be without those stories? And so I just want to say, You are not your stories.
Yes. Is there like a practice that people can do to be more aware of their stories?
Yeah, I think we have to start realizing first that life is stories. Much of what we make up is stories. Reality is not necessarily what we think. Just because we think a thought, just because we think a thought doesn't mean it's true. Just because we believe something to be doesn't mean it's true. Just because we're thinking certain things about ourselves doesn't mean it's true. It's a story that we've made up. And so once we become aware that it's a story that we've made up, we have to really begin observing our thoughts. I always tell people, just because a thought is in your mind doesn't mean it's reality. It's just a thought. We're constantly believing our thoughts as though they're real, but they're not necessarily real. And so what we have to do is start observing our thoughts. Most of the time we don't observe our thoughts. We just believe whatever comes up in our mind, we go with them like it's automatically reality. And so observe your thoughts. Pay attention, observe your thoughts, and start questioning your thoughts. Is it true? Is it real? Is it fact? Can I know this for sure? How do I know this for sure? Is it reality? Could this interpretation, the way I'm seeing this, could it mean anything else? Like for instance, if mom left me with my dad, for instance, and took off when I was 5, I'm not enough. That's the story I'm making up about that event. Question: is it true? Is it real? Is it fact? Here's the key. Could that mean? Could her leaving, which is a factual event, could it mean something else? Could it have meant something? It might mean she felt inadequate. She felt inadequate. It might mean she was trying to do something good for me by leaving me at home, and so maybe she loved me. I mean, so could it mean anything else? And so we have to start questioning the interpretations that we're making up, and that's I think a place that we can begin.
What is the nature of our ego and how can we have a better relationship with it?
Look, the ego is not real.
What do you mean by that?
This is a phone. This is
Yeah.
real to a degree. Wait, show me your ego. Put it on the table.
Yeah.
Where's your ego? Paloma, take a picture of your ego and send me the selfie. Where is the ego? Right? We're going through life like this ego is a real thing, like a teddy bear. It's like, here's my ego. But the ego is not necessarily real. Ego is simply the process of identification. It's the process of identification with name, with body, with form, with beliefs, with stories, with memories, with past experiences that have all come together that we hold on to for a sense of identification, for a sense of identity. Oh, this is who I am. My religion, my culture, this is who I am. The more tightly we hold on and identify with ourselves as all those things, the more we hold on and identify, the more, let's say, egoic we are. So ego by itself is not necessarily good and it's not necessarily bad. It just is whatever it is. It's not good or bad. It's like a car. It's a vehicle. It's not good or bad. In fact, everybody and every human being has an ego. If you meet the most enlightened mystic guru, spiritual teacher, Dalai Lama, whoever you think of, shaman, they have an ego. If you said to the Dalai Lama, hey, Dalai Lama, he's going to turn around and say, yes, Paloma, yes, Kute. Yeah, he's not going to just sit there. He's going to say, oh, hi, yes, I'm the Dalai Lama. Okay. Because if he didn't have an ego, he would not even be able to respond, right? But the issue with ego is not the enemy, is the level to which we are identified with it and hold on as a sense of identity and attachment to thinking that's what we are. It's just a vehicle that we can use to function in this lifetime. So we do need a healthy sense of ego, a healthy sense of ego. And so the key is not the ego, but is in your relationship with the ego. Your relationship with the ego itself is what's important. Having a healthy relationship, realizing it's not me, but it is me. It is not me, because if you get so disidentified with it, you might just sit there like a vegetable. If you get so disidentified with it to a degree that someone says to you, Someone comes up to you and starts, beating you up and throwing you on the ground. It's like, well, I don't have an ego. This body's not me. None of it's me. It's like, well, so the sense of having a healthy ego of saying, okay, it's not me. It's not my true self-value and worth is not my body, not my hair, not my bank account, not my social media status. And the key is, and having a healthy relationship so that you can honor yourself and love yourself and not just let yourself be taken advantage of. And so I think understanding that frees you up to then not get attached to it, but also enjoy it at the same time. Realizing it's like we're like actors in a play, you can play the role, play the play, but also like an actor in the play. Once the role is over, they're not too attached. Like Tom Cruise or Will Smith, they play the role, they enjoy the role, they, to a degree, experience the role. But then once the filming is done, let's go on to the next. The problem is if an actor got so identified with that role that once the movie's done, they started crying and breaking down, and oh my God, don't take this role away from me. Imagine that someone is playing, Cleopatra. Oh my God, because we get so identified. Identification is the root of suffering. Identity is the root of suffering. Ego is not a problem.
Let's talk about surrender. People usually see surrendering as giving up or losing, but you have a different perspective on this. What is it surrender?
Yeah, I mean, there is a notion in our culture that to surrender is passive, to surrender is weak, to surrender is a limitation, to surrender is giving up, to surrender means waving a white flag, to surrender means you're going to get taken advantage of. There's this false perception and notion that I've really wanted to reframe when it comes to surrender. That if you surrender, you're going to be broke, you're going to not manifest your dreams, you're going to be homeless, you're going to have to sell everything, live in the Himalayas. Who wants to do that? It doesn't sound very exciting. And so no one wants to surrender because who wants to just give up everything and be taken advantage of? And so I don't believe that's what surrender is. When I look at the great ones, Jesus, Buddha, Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Mandela, Martin Luther King, Muhammad Ali, Bruce Lee, to a degree, at some point, they all surrendered. They surrendered themselves to something more. They surrendered themselves to something bigger. They surrendered themselves to the bigger aspect of life that was seeking to express through them. And this is what made them great. And so when I say surrender, surrender is letting go of control. Control is the master addiction. As human beings, we try to control everything. We try to control our minds in meditation. We try to control God in our prayers. We try to control our spouse and our husband and our wife. We try to control our boyfriend and our girlfriend. We try to control our children. We try to control the weather. We try to control the stars. We try to control our pets. We try to, but if we really look at control, has it ever really worked? I mean, has it ever really tried to control your lover? Did it ever really work and bring us freedom? It leads to stress, depression, frustration, fighting, depression. I mean, it's exhausting. And I think this is how, for the longest time, this old ego-based model of control is how we have tried to live our lives as a humanity. Let's impose our will on life and let's make life happen. Let's make life into what we think it should be. And so really what I'm saying is surrender is letting go of control. Surrender is when we stop trying to force life to fit our limited idea of how we think life should look, and the willingness to be open to life, the willingness to be open to the magic of life. So to surrender is to let go of who we think we should be, the idea of who we think we should be, which is often limited based on our conditioning. Surrender is to let go of the life that we think we should be living based on our ego's imagination and projection, so that we can open to the life that is seeking to express and unfold through us. To me, surrender is the key. Surrender is the pathway to freedom. We're afraid that we'll get less. We're afraid that we'll get less if we surrender. I'm saying if you surrender, What if maybe you got more than you could imagine, more love, more joy, more grace, more, because you see, the mind can often tries to set goals and dreams and desires, and the mind often projects into the future what it thinks it wants, right? Oh, I really want this, and I really want that, and I want to manifest this. Nothing wrong with that. Get clear on your goals, we're taught. Oh, I want to. And so the challenge is we get so attached to what we think we want. Sometimes you might get the goals, dreams, and desires that you thought you wanted. Maybe you've had this experience, only to then be living the life you wanted to live or thought you wanted to live, and then to say, is this all?
Yeah.
Is this it? I got the guy, I got the car, I got the house. It's not quite what I thought. Here's why. Sometimes what we think we want is not what we really want. It's just what we thought we wanted based on who we thought we were, which is wrapped up in our conditioning. And sometimes, too, our goals and our intentions and our desires can often be a projection of our unresolved wounds, past conditioning from childhood. For instance, mom's not around, dad's not around, we don't feel loved, we don't feel enough, we don't feel lovable, worthy. So we project a goal into the future. Now we're adults. Oh, if I can have that body, if I can have that Instagram following, if I can be famous, if I can win the Oscars, if I can make $1 gazillion, if I can achieve that thing, then I'm going to finally be enough in the ways that I wasn't. And a life based on that projection of the ego incompletion is never truly fulfilling. And so I think real surrender is the willingness to let go. Real surrender is the willingness to be open. Real surrender is the willingness to be open to life. That doesn't mean laziness. That doesn't mean you do nothing. That doesn't mean you sit there and say, okay, I'm just going to just surrender. No, it means you feel the deepest truth in your heart, in your soul, and you move in that direction. Not what you just think you should be doing or what you think should be, because sometimes what your soul guides you to do is going to be different than what your mind or your ego thinks. And many times I believe when you follow your soul, you're always in flow. When you're in flow, you'll always end up in the right place at the right time with the right people. Just the route, the way that you might be guided and the road you might be that you might end up taking might not be what you expected. And so I think when we really follow our soul, our truth, our deepest truth without compromise, I would say that life often works out better than you can imagine. Because when you surrender to that degree, are no longer limited to your mind. You're no longer limited to creating with your mind, with your past, with your ego, with conditioning. You're open to the, shall we say, infinite intelligence of life.
How do we know that we have really surrendered? Because, like, I could say, like, oh, I surrender, but how did I know that I actually surrender? Is there's like a body
How,
feeling? Is
how, how do you know if you're having an orgasm?
well, you have the
Yeah, exactly. I mean, don't to be, but how do you know if you're having an orgasm? Is you're having it's really, I mean, but even orgasm is surrender. It's a letting go. It's a. So how do you know you? There's a feeling. There's some look. It might be a little scary. Like it could be scary to fall in love. How do you know if you're in love? How do you know? Is there a checklist? I mean, that doesn't mean falling in love even is not scary. Sometimes it's terrifying to fall in love, but it feels right. It feels beautiful. It can be terrifying, but it can feel scary at the same time. So there's a feeling of when you're truly surrendering, you are moving in the direction. It's like you're moving in the direction of the flow. You're going in the direction of the flow. You're allowing life to lead you. See, I believe that there is a natural rhythm and a natural flow to life. What we tend to do as human beings, we try to like force things and make the flow. And then when we force things and make the flow, life tends not to work out. Things get stuck, things don't move, things don't happen. You end up being there, just stagnant, right? Stagnant, constipated, not flowing. How you know you're in surrender is there is a flow. So to really move into surrender, you're feeling, it's like surfing in the ocean. You're feeling for the the flow, you're feeling for where the natural energy, not where you think it should go, where the natural energy of life is moving. You'll feel the natural energy of life. Life is leading me here. I don't know why, but I don't know why it's leading me here. The thing that gets in the way of surrendering is this. We're constantly trying to understand what everything is. We're constantly trying to understand with our mind, oh, what does this mean? And where's this going?
Exactly, yes.
What we have to give up is the need to understand everything. We're guided. We're guided. Wait, what does this mean? And where's this going? What does this relationship mean? And what's going to happen? And what's going to happen 5 years from now? And what's going to happen to my grandchildren yet? And I joke with my friends, what's going to happen to my grandchildren? You don't even have children. You're worried about what's going to happen with your grandchildren. I'm like, forget you don't even have grandchildren. You don't even have a husband. You don't even, you don't even have a relationship. So we're always worrying about stuff, right? And so one of the things we have to give up is the need to understand, the need to know what everything means. This mechanism of the mind talk about stories, will interpret based on the level of its clarity, its conditioning, and its consciousness. This is what the mind does. And so even when we try to understand what this means right now, we're only able to see and understand based on the level of our consciousness in that particular moment. So even our understanding of what we think it means will also be limited. So what we think something means won't necessarily be what it really means. It's going to be to the best of our interpretation, which is limited. So when we can when we can stop imposing a meaning on the moment, like this is what it is, and we can say, you know what? I don't know what this means. All I know is something's telling me to pick up that phone and call that person. Why? I don't need to understand why. Something's telling me to go to Los Angeles. What? Just follow. So giving up that constant need to understand, which is another form of control, another form of the ego's mechanism to try to control life, avoid pain, manage risk. We have to be aware of it. And so when you give up the need to know and you say, okay, I don't need to know. All I know is I'm guided in this direction. This is where the flow is going. This is where my soul, if I'm honest, this is where my soul is guiding me. And the willingness to say, you know what? I'm going to take one step in this direction. I don't know where it's leading, but I'm going to take a step in that direction. So part of surrender is the willingness to embrace the unknown. And the degree to which you can embrace the unknown is the degree to which you're free. Because when you take a step, then you take another step, then you take another step. You don't need to know where you're going to get to exactly where you need to be, because there's something inside of your soul that knows. We live in a culture. So surrender is, shall we say, when you're willing to allow life to lead you versus you pushing life. Allow life to lead you. Many times people will say to me, Kute, why are you going there? I don't know. Something's the energy is moving. I don't know. And now I stopped questioning. So I would say stop questioning. If you feel it's true, give up the need to know. Life will show you as you take the step. Life will show you. Sometimes we want to know everything, but the truth is, if life told us everything that we would have to go through to get to where we wanted to be, some of us wouldn't even start. We wouldn't even begin, So sometimes not knowing is the universe's protection. So move in the direction, take a step, move in the direction, take a step. It's funny because I was telling someone the other day, we live in a culture where we trust Siri. Everyone knows Siri? We trust, I don't know how it is in Spanish,
Siri. We say Siri, yeah.
Sirita, I was going to say Sirita or someone, we trust Siri more than we trust our soul. Siri says, Siri, turn left, we turn left. Turn right, we turn right. Go forward, we go forward. We don't question Siri. We don't say, Siri, are you sure? GPS, have you ever been there before? We don't question. We don't argue with Siri. We just follow Siri. But when it comes to our soul, your soul says, write that book. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. 10 years have gone by. We're still arguing with our soul. We don't argue with Siri. And so I think we have to learn, part of surrender is the willingness to trust our soul, trust the unknown, stop questioning, Trust that there is an intelligence inside of you. Look, here's the deal. People might say, well, how do I trust? How do you not trust? All of life, if we really look at it, all of life is proof that there is an intelligence, call it whatever you want, that is working, that is unfolding, that is existing. Right now, you and I, we're having this beautiful conversation. You're breathing, I'm breathing, everyone listening is breathing. We're not sitting
Yes.
here going, oh my God, Paloma, how am I going to breathe? I got to
Yes.
pray to breathe. Breathe. It's just happening.
Natural.
Hundreds of breath naturally happening right now. Maybe you had breakfast. Maybe you had a banana, you had some granola, you had an omelet, whatever it is, some toast. How is it that your hand doesn't turn into toast? Or your ear doesn't turn into rice? There's an intelligence inside that knows what to do and how to digest. There's trillions and trillions of processes inside of your body. So if someone is wondering, how do I surrender? Let's not even get spiritual. Let's not even get mystical. Let's just get biological and practical. Tune into your body as a practical thing. Just take a moment, look in the mirror and tune into your body. Feel trillions of cells and processes happening inside of your body alone. Get into relationship with that. It's like, wow, so connect to your body. You're being breathed. We're being breathed. And if you get into nature, I'm looking outside, the sun is shining. I don't know about you, but was there ever a day that you came out 10, 11 in the morning and it was pitch black, it was dark? And we say, well, what happened? Oh, the sun it forgot to come out. The sun never forget, every day like clock. So every day the sun shines, the moon shines, the same intelligence that's breathing you. You cut your finger right now, in a few days, this innate intelligence in your body. How? I don't know. It knows how to heal you. Yet we don't trust life that has been around for billions and billions and billions and billions of years. Wait a second. Life is proving itself. The flowers are blooming, the oceans, the rivers, the clouds, the sky. Let's look at nature, be in nature, observe the cycles of nature. The same intelligence that's breathing you and breathing me is breathing 8 billion people and all of existence. I believe it knows life knows how to fulfill itself through us. And so when we surrender and we say, okay, I'm going to trust bigger than my mind. I'm going to get myself out of the way and trust, feel deeper, and then go in the direction of my deepest truth. When we surrender and we trust at that level, we get ourselves out of the way, and then we open ourselves to being lived. We open ourselves to life manifesting through us in ways that we couldn't imagine.
Do you think on our path to surrender, we have to start by trusting ourselves first?
Well, I think trusting yourself, but I would say, what is yourself? See, who is yourself? Trust myself. Who are you? Who are you? The question is, who are you? Because if you think that yourself is your story and your mind and your ego and your body and your identity and, Ku and Paloma and Johnny and Susie and Eduardo, it's like, this is where the trouble comes, because we trust this self and the brain and the mind, which is full of conditioning from the past, which then causes us to live in fear. So when we say trust yourself, which self are you trusting? The question is then, who are you? Who are you? Because if you really know who you are, then what I'm really saying is trust yourself with a big S, a capital S, yourself. What is the self? The unconditioned essence of your being that is part of the oneness of existence, part of the oneness of life, the real self. This is why even Jesus, who realized himself, said, I and my Father are one. In the Bible, forget whatever religion you are, for me, it's just an understanding. I and my Father are one. Oh, he realized who he was. When we realize who we really are, our true identity, then we become powerful. then life starts moving through us. Then we start realizing of my own personal power, human power, ego power, I can do this much. But when I surrender to life, existence flowing through me, what life can do through me is more than what I can do on my own. And if you don't believe me, look at what life did through Bruce Lee and Muhammad Ali and Gandhi and Bob Marley and Mother Teresa and Mandela. Life moved humanity. Life moved cultures. Life moved millions of people through them. Because now, when you surrender, you're not limited to yourself anymore. You have accessed your real self. And that's the power. That's the magic.
You mentioned that this book, it wasn't the book that you wanted to write, but it wanted to manifest and you had to surrender. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, no, I thought I was going to write. I had all of these ideas of the book I thought I was going to write. I had an entire wall with writings, and it was a whiteboard. And I threw all of my ideas onto the wall, and I thought, that book would sell. That would be great. Publishers would love that. People would love that. That would be great to market. And to be honest, there was one day when I was looking at the wall, and I literally felt the soul of this book drop. I felt the soul of this book just make itself clear to me. And I realized that there was this book I thought I wanted to write, but there was the book that was seeking to be written. And when I really got clear and I felt the energy that this is the book that was seeking to be written, I had to surrender to the book and realize I'm not writing the book. I'm just a vehicle to serve the essence and the energy and the message of this book. So I feel like I'm just the messenger for the message of this book more than anything. And that's when I just had to get myself out of the way, talk about practicing what I'm writing about. I had to just get myself out of the way. And that's when everything started to come together. The structure, the story, the book, the ideas, everything began to flow. And it was really, really beautiful. And
How
so,
do you, how do you get out of your own way? How was your process to get out of your own way? What do you like?
no, I think it's everything I've been sharing with you. It's just feeling the energies like, wow, I want to write this book. Okay, I could have just gone in, no, I'm just going to write this book. But it's like being in the ocean, but the wave is going over here. When you're in the ocean and you're, in the wave, but the wave is going here. No, 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 I'm going to go here. You can. Life won't stop you, but it may not be fun. But when the wave is going here, you want to surf the wave. You have to feel where the wave is going. And if I let go of attachment, if I really and I was really honest, I could feel the wave going here. I could lie to myself. And so we have to feel, where is the wave going? So here's the question I invite everyone to ask themselves. The old ego model question is, what do I want? This is what we're taught to ask, right? You read a book, what do you want? Get clear on what you want. I'm saying this is a wrong question. Or I shouldn't say wrong. I should say this is a limited question. It's limited. You can create life from that old model. What do you want? But it's limited. It's an ego-based model. For me, the question and the shift for people to ask themselves is this. What is it that life wants to express through me? What is it that life wants to manifest through me? What is it that life wants to create through me? What is it that life wants to write through me, manifest through me, love through me, create through me? And then it's a different question, you see, because now you're opening to a bigger intelligence. You're expanding your consciousness to what is that life wants to express through me versus what is it that I want? Because sometimes what you want is not really what you need. Sometimes what you want is not, I don't know about you, but maybe folks listening in, if you look back at some of the things in your life that did not happen. In the moment, you didn't understand it. In the moment, you may have been upset, pissed off, sad, angry, mad. But now looking back, it was the best thing that happened that it didn't happen. If you look back at a relationship, maybe you fell in love and you really wanted that relationship, and I'm going to be with this person forever, and we're going to have children. Oh my God, that's my soulmate. When it broke up, you were so distraught, you were so distressed. But now you look back and you think Thank God I wasn't with
Yes,
I wasn't with that guy.
I do live
Thank the right?
that.
Thank the universe. But in the moment you couldn't believe it. But now you're like, oh, I avoided a tornado. Thank you. But in the moment we couldn't see it. So sometimes when things don't work out, it's a blessing, it's grace. So I would say when things don't work out, we tend to get depressed, we tend to feel disempowered, we tend to feel like a victim, we tend to feel sad. Sometimes we get mad, we protest, we get angry. But I would say we make it mean that we're a failure or God doesn't love us or whatever we make it mean, the story in our mind. But I think it's important when something doesn't work out to step back and go, okay, if the universe is always working for my highest good, universe is always working for my highest good because the universe is always working in the direction of evolution, expansion, then this is not working out. What could this mean? What else could this mean? So you're not making up a story based on limitation. What could this mean? What better thing could be seeking to happen? You know, what better relationship could the universe be seeking to bring me? You know, what's the opportunity here? What's the learning here? Then you step back and then you get curious. Part of surrender is to embrace the curiosity. Like, I don't know what this means, but what could this mean? Then you're curious. Then you're truly open to the magic and the lesson. So back to the question. What is it that the universe is seeking to express through me? What is it that the universe is seeking to manifest through me? Then you can be still, listen, attune, feel that, open to that, and you will feel usually like, oh, I wanted to be a lawyer because I thought I should be a lawyer, but really what I want to do is be an artist. Or this is what I really want to do in my heart. Sometimes it's scary to acknowledge that because we're afraid of what will that mean? I'm going to have a conversation with my family and they're going to be upset. I'm going to leave my job and how will I survive? I'm going to have to end this relationship and I feel guilty. I feel sad. I feel uncomfortable. Maybe I won't find love again. So many times we're so afraid to tell ourselves the truth about what we feel. So part of surrender too, then, is the willingness to tell yourself the truth. One of the things that keeps us stuck as human beings are all the ways that we lie to ourselves, all the ways that we don't tell ourselves the truth. As human beings, we're constantly BSing ourselves, not telling the truth to ourselves. We stay in relationships that we know aren't right for us because it's safe. You know, it's comfortable. We've been with them for 5 years and we know what it is, but we're not happy. We're not fulfilled. Maybe we know deep down this is not the one and we settle because it's comfortable. We stay in a job that maybe doesn't light us up, but it pays the bills, or maybe we become very successful. And so we stay in it, we continue doing it, but deep down we know that this is not the reason we were born. And it eats us up inside. And so to truly surrender and begin taking a step to shift and transform your life requires that you tell the truth to yourself about who you are, about what you feel. 3 questions. Number 1, what are the lies I'm telling myself? Really be honest. What are the lies I'm telling myself? To me, this is truth. Truth is real spirituality. Truth is real meditation. Truth is real yoga, you know? Number 2, what am I pretending to not know? Because sometimes one of the ways we keep ourselves stuck is we play games of confusion and pretend. Like, I don't know what I should do. I don't know if I'm in love with this person. I don't know what my purpose is. When deep down, we know. If we're really honest, we know there is an intelligence inside of us. The other thing we should ask ourselves is what is the cost of not telling the truth? What is the cost of lying to myself? There is a cost. The cost is pain. There is a pain that we feel, which is why many of us were depressed. We're not happy. We're sad. When the pain might manifest as depression, sadness, illness, dis-ease, pain in the body in some way, or just life not flowing. There is a cost. So what is the pain? What is the cost? How you know that you're often lying to yourself is you feel pain. Pain isn't bad. Pain is a gift. Pain isn't bad. Pain is feedback. Pain is your friend. I would say make pain your friend. Listen to the pain because the pain is often showing you where you are not living truth, where you are not surrendering, where you're holding on, where you're in denial, where you're suppressing some truth or you're betraying yourself in some way. What is the cost? What we often do as human beings is when we feel the pain, we distract ourselves. We drink it away, we sex it away, we drug it away, we shop it away, we social media it away, we video game it away, we, what else? We Netflix it away, we travel, whatever it is, so that we don't have to feel the pain. But when we don't acknowledge the pain, then we keep doing what we're doing because we end up numbing ourselves. And so I would say, create the space to be still, to feel the pain. Don't deny the pain. Part of surrender is truth and feeling the pain and using that pain to bring yourself back into alignment, back into surrender. Then you can move forward. The pain is a blessing.
Yes, I feel like also something that holds people back from moving towards their dreams is fear. How does people let go of fear? How they face fear?
Yeah, fear is not bad. You don't have to even let go of fear. You don't have to even get rid of fear. Your relationship with fear is really what's important. Fear is, if in life you say you have zero fear, or have no fear, either you're crazy, that's one, either you're like crazy, like something's off, or I would say that your goals are too small. You're playing way too small and you're way too comfortable. Here's why. Because if you're growing and you're expanding and you're falling in love, you're trying to be your best, trying to do things you've never done, expanding outside of your comfort zone, guess what? There's going to be some fear because you've never been there before. You've never done that before. When you climb that mountain and you're on the edge and you're like, whoa, I haven't been here before. There's a little fear, you know? And so fear can be a sign that you're excited. Fear can be a sign that you're expanding into the unknown. This is how you're alive. This is how you're growing. So fear isn't bad, but it's your relationship with it. And if you let fear stop you or not. And so observe the fear, acknowledge the fear, don't judge the fear, and breathe through the fear. And then check, is there something to be afraid of? If there's a tiger chasing you on the high street, yeah, you better. If you tell me that you have no fear and you just sit there going, I'm not afraid, and it's chasing you, then you're going to die. So fear has a healthy component because if there's a tiger chasing you, then yes, run. Use that fear as a signal to protect yourself. But many times we're feeling this level of fear and there's no tiger chasing us, right? And so we have to be aware. Is there something to really be afraid of? No. Many times that fear is that part of us that is concerned. And so rather than stay stuck in the fear, because what we tend to do is we stay stuck in the fear. And as we stay stuck in the fear, we wallow in the fear. We end up being hijacked by the fear. And we end up going into the future, staying stuck and creating a negative future fantasy about all the things that are going to happen in the future. So we now get more and more afraid of the things that are going to happen, but haven't happened yet. But they might happen, but they haven't happened yet. But they could happen, they haven't happened yet. But what if they happen, but they haven't happened yet? And so now we're afraid of stuff that is not even real. We're afraid of things that aren't even here, that may never happen. That is pointless. That is ineffective relationship with fear. So you feel the fear and learn to relate to yourself. You can just be with that part of yourself that's afraid and just let yourself know, thank you. Because that part of yourself that's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, how are you going to pay the rent? It's concerned. So we have to just be with ourselves and hold ourselves with love, with compassion, with kindness, reassure those parts of ourselves that are afraid. Like, it's okay. I hear you. I hear you. I understand that you're afraid. I know that there's fear. But if we just stay stuck in that fear, it's not going to go anywhere. And use that fear to, let's say, come up with a plan in terms of, okay, what actions am I going to take? Because if you can stay stuck in the fear and wallow in the fear and everything's the same, or you can say, okay, there's some fear. Let me use this fear to move into some healthy action so I can do everything I can do that's in my power. Because all the time you spend in fear, the situation is still the same. All the time you spend in fear, nothing has changed. So I'm going to either use the fear or let the fear use me. So can I use this fear to say, okay, What is in my control right now, rather than just being a victim to the fear? What is in my control right now? What actions can I take right now to move myself more in the direction of where I want to go and use that fear? Right? So if someone's like, I'm afraid of getting fat, oh my God, I'm afraid, you could stay in that fear for 10 years and nothing changes. So you can say, okay, I hear you. Thank you. Thank you for your concern. And let me come up with a plan to exercise and eat healthily and be proactive. Focus on what you can control that is in your power. So fear by itself isn't bad. It's just the relationship with it. Real courage. See, if you're growing and expanding, you're going to feel afraid and you're going to have to step through the fear. And that's courage. Each time you feel the fear, you breathe through, you step through, you do everything in your power, you do everything in your power, you focus on the positive, you do your preparation, you prepare, you get teachers to help you prepare. Then you still might feel some fear, but you're at least prepared, then you take action. You take action anyway. Part of how you move through the fear is not waiting to get rid of the fear. Part of how you move through the fear is to take action. And
Yes.
that's how you
Yes.
expand.
That's how I
And
feel.
that's courage.
That's how I feel right now. Because before doing this interview, you're my first guest, and I wasn't gonna tell you this story, but I'm gonna just narrate a little story about how did I write you on Instagram Live. Like the day before that Instagram Live that you did, I was meditating, and actually I was practicing what you just talked right now about surrendering without even knowing. And in my meditation, I was praying. I was like, please, like God or the universe or whatever you want to call it, like help me connect with my soul and what I came here to the world to do. Like I don't want to do it because I think that's what I should do. And at that moment in my meditation, I feel a lot of peace, and I feel like it's okay. You are in the right place. Like you're doing what you have, what you should be doing, right? So the next day, I checked my Instagram and you were doing a live, and I entered through your live and you were talking about possibilities. And I asked you if it was a possibility that you can come to my podcast, and you say yes, and an email, etc. So I did that, and I couldn't believe it that you say yes, and I was super excited. So I was like, wow, like I trust the universe, like it's guiding me towards where I have to go. And then we have our first, like last week, we have our first like attempt to do the interview, but I have audio problems, so we couldn't make it. So you reschedule. And that was beautiful for me because you don't only show me that you live your talk, is that makes sense? That you talk about this, but you actually live like that, and you give you an opportunity that maybe another person wouldn't give it to me. It was like I have like 30 other podcasts to be on. I'm sorry, like this was the opportunity, and you gave me the chance. And for me also was a surrendering lesson, because I have to surrender to the fact that we have audio problems, and I have to believe there was a motive for us to talk today instead of last week. So even before I start reading your book, I was entering into this world of surrender or understanding it. And then I have to live through all this till today and live it. And for me, that was like synchronicity, the universe speaking to me, living what you just said. It was a story that I wanted to share with you.
Beautiful, beautiful.
So thank you for saying yes, because not everybody is that open and
Sure.
will do something like that. So another thing that I want to talk is purpose, because you talk beautifully in your book, and I have a paragraph that I would like to read, and it says, you don't need to know your exact life purpose in order to live it. How your purpose manifests through you will grow and change as you evolve. It is not some static thing, so stop trying to find it. Purpose isn't something that you do. It is who you are being. It is who you are becoming. Moment to moment, your purpose is every moment of your life. That's beautiful. And why do we feel that we have to find our purpose when we're living it?
Well, many times we don't know we're living it, and as human beings, we incarnate into this human existence as souls, and as souls, I believe we incarnate because there's lessons we're here to learn, and but we're not necessarily aware of this. You know, we're conditioned as children to seek. We're conditioned as children and conditioned by the media to, and we're so distracted. You know, achieve this, achieve that, buy this, go here, do this. Blah, blah. You're not enough. You're not enough. You're not. We're conditioned and programmed and hypnotized. So now we grow up thinking, oh, my purpose is to buy that house. My purpose is to do that thing. My purpose is my job. Ultimately, as a soul, your purpose is life is a, shall we say, classroom for your soul's evolution, and your purpose is to grow and evolve. And every single lesson and every single experience is part of your soul's curriculum. And at the spiritual, deeper level, every moment is your soul's purpose. But we forgot that the whole purpose of this thing is evolution. When you remember that, then you can always live your purpose, whatever you're doing, wherever you are, so long as you're growing, learning, and evolving. And you know, a lot of times people are looking for something big to do in the world to make a big difference. But the challenge is sometimes we don't even start where we are, right here, right now, as human beings. You know, so I would say, if you're looking for a big purpose but you're not sure, stop looking for the big purpose. Start where you are, exactly as you are, with what you have, by responding to the need of the moment right now. Look around, see who needs help. Look around, see how you can serve. Look around, even in your job. If you hate your job, fair enough. Maybe you're going to leave soon. But even when you're at your job right now, see how you can live your purpose. If you feel it's to love in some way, see how you can bring love into what you do. Your purpose is not what you do, but it's who you're being moment to moment. And so I think the more that you respond to the need in the moment and you serve in the moment, the more you expand and grow. The more you expand and grow, life then opens up the next level and more opportunities for you to keep expanding and growing. But we have to manage one so we can have two. We've got to manage two so we can have four. We have to manage four so we can have, six. And so I think purpose is unfolds like that. And so I would just invite people to just move in the direction of what you love, move in the direction of what brings you alive. If you go in the direction of what brings you alive, even if you don't know the specifics, even if you don't know the exact steps, if you go in the direction of what brings you alive, what makes you alive, what turns you on, then each step, as you take another step, you take another step, you take another step, life begins revealing itself to you in the process of living life itself. So purpose is revealed. And as you expand and more purpose is revealed, then purpose is not a static thing, it's an evolutionary thing. Because as your consciousness grows and expands, and as you evolve, your purpose will grow and expand and evolve. And so I think that's how things work.
You talk about soul calling. Does soul calling is different than purpose, or is the same?
Yeah, when I talk about soul calling, I'm talking about purpose, yes.
So, how can we start listening to our soul calling? It is more like a conscious decision of figuring out how we want to impact the world.
Yeah, I think you can spend all your time just listening, listening, listen. I'm not saying don't listen, but as I said, go in the direction of what lights you up. Move in a direction. Your calling will reveal itself to you in the process of living life itself. Rather than trying to figure out everything up front, move. Just take action. Follow the energy. Life will show you what your soul calling is. Many times what your soul calling is not what you think it is. But it's through living that it reveals.
When you were a leader, you used to sneak into your dad's church in the night and pretend you were speaking to a huge audience. At what moment of your life did you understood your soul calling?
I always had a calling and a deep sense of wanting to make a difference in people's lives. And so as a kid, I always felt the calling. And it was always there for me. For me, it was just something that was a spark and a seed. But then what I chose to do was I chose to develop it. I chose to work with it. I chose to nurture it. I would read every day. I'd meditate every day. I'd sneak into my father's church. I'd speak to the empty chairs at night when no one was around, when there was no audience. I would just be speaking to the empty chairs in the darkness and practicing my talks and practicing my speeches. And so a lot of people don't realize that, yes, there's a calling, but then there's the effort and the work and the daily discipline and commitment that it takes to develop that calling into a reality. And so I started very young working to develop the calling I felt into a reality. I could never predicted that I'd be doing what I'm doing now and continuing, but I think we have to do our part to put in the work. Greatness in any level takes work.
What does the human experience mean to you?
The human experience is all of experience. You know, I think as souls, we incarnate into the human experience to grow, to learn, to evolve. As souls, we incarnate into the human experience because there's lessons we're here to learn. And so I think the more we can grow, learn, and evolve and experience all that there is to experience without judgment, knowing that you're not going to do it perfectly, you're not meant to do it perfectly. I would say experience everything, celebrate everything, use everything in the human experience to learn and evolve. That's what it's here for. We're here to learn and evolve. And through the learning and evolving through life, through experience, through relationships, we can access more and more of who we really are.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate that.
I would love to let people know also about the best way to find out about the book, if possible.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, the best way is if you're interested in finding out more about my work and the book, you can go to themagicofsurrender.com. That's www.themagicofsurrender.com. It's available on Amazon. Also, kuteblackson.com, my main website, and also boundlessblissbali.com.
And you also have like a event online soon on relationships, right?
Yeah, we have an event called the Love Breakthrough on June the 12th. The Love Breakthrough, depending on people are listening to this, the Love Breakthrough Experience.com.
Awesome.
Lovebreakthroughexperience.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Vale, bye. Hi, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Could give us a different perspective on life. And to be honest, we barely talk about all the wisdom his book have. So do yourself a favor and get his book on Amazon. And if you enjoyed this episode, please give a thumbs up, comment below, or subscribe to this channel. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy your human experience. Bye-bye.